Hello and welcome to the Disclosure Network New York meeting on Sunday, May 6, 2018. I'm Nick Curto, co-founder and director. dnny is a grassroots organization celebrating our 17th year of providing 2 meetings a month throughout the year in Manhattan. We focus on cutting-edge UFO, ET issues, paranormal phenomenon, and related subjects. Our members do intense investigative research into these various topics and share that information with the group at our meetings and on the internet for followers of our group. Our motto from the very beginning is, quote, connecting the dots to seek truth, unquote. I'd like to mention that we have available to everyone worldwide what we call news blasts, and that's an email service focusing on the various topics that are free to everyone. Just visit our website, which is www.dnny.info, and type in your email address and we're asked for, and don't forget to press the send button for the New York news blast. You'll get on the list, and then you'll get almost daily what's going on, cutting edge information that we're sharing with everyone. Again, it's a free service, and they'll be connected to topics that we are currently focusing on. We have hundreds of people who are already signed on for this service worldwide. Okay, our featured guest today for our meeting is Mr. Jason Quitt, and I am so thrilled to have Jason here again by phone with us for an interview. The title that Jason has chosen for the meeting is I Want to Believe the Connection Between Spiritual Awakening and ET Experiencers. Jason, a very hearty welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Now, I know you've been traveling a little bit in the last months. I've been reading. Just quickly, would you tell us what you've been doing?
Yeah, I've been traveling pretty ongoing for the past couple of years, and I just recently came back from Tokyo. I spend about 2 months out of the year in Tokyo, and now it's actually stretching to about 3 months out of the year. So my attention is kind of being pulled over there a little. I'm doing some teachings out there, and also I have many friends out there that are into production, as in movies and music. So actually, I'm starting to actually put together a documentary with a team out in Tokyo and a team out in Los Angeles. We're going to be making a feature documentary about experiencers. So I think you're the first person to hear that. So that's why I'm...
Keep us close on that project, please. That would be very interesting to our group.
Yes, it's really exciting, and what we're really trying to do with this documentary is speak to people from all over the world, and not just the people we know about in the UFO and conspiracy world. We're trying to stay away from everybody and just get to the real people that are having these experiences. It could be the person working at the bank. It could be, even a wrestler, like from different parts of the world. And the most amazing thing that we're finding is that, one, they don't want to tell their story, but when they're comfortable and you start talking to them, they open up. And the amazing thing is that the experiences that people could have from around the world are identical, and they don't know anybody else is having these experiences. So when you have people from 2 different walks of life from one side of the planet to the other, and they're basically telling the exact same story, what happened to them, it's incredible confirmation that there is a phenomenon that is happening.
Some of the members of our group have shared with the group that they have, at some points when they felt comfortable, have mentioned sightings of UFOs and related topics. And they say that they're amazed that when you open up the subject to some people, that they feel comfortable about saying, well, actually, my grandmother, blah, 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 or I have just with my kids, we're out in the woods and blah, blah, blah. And they're starting to open up and say things they wouldn't ordinarily share. And this has happened more than once, a few times. It's happened in my life also. Been standing at a bus, waiting for a bus, and shared some information to someone, and they responded more than I ever dreamt. So I can understand what you're doing.
Exactly, and I think that when more people start to see that, it's okay to share this, you're not crazy, you're not hallucinating, and it's not just you. And once you see that, then you understand that, okay, this is something I could look into, because many people have genuine contact experience or genuine consciousness experiences. And because they've been so programmed in these belief systems, they'll just wake up the next day and say, oh, that was just a crazy dream, and they'll just let it go. And they'll forget about it. But then if they hear somebody else telling the same story, they kind of get a little, shooken up. Say, wait a second, what did you say there? Yeah, I had this being, when it stood by the bed, it looked like this, and it said this to me. And then the person's face turns white, and they go, are you messing with me? Because that same thing happened to me, and I just thought it was a crazy dream.
That's more common than we have originally imagined. So it's part of the fabric of what we're talking about now. Do you also feel, Jason, that more people now are more open to this entire subject than they were, say, even 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, and I think TV, the TV and the internet is partly to blame for that, because we have Aliens and all this History Channel and A&E and all these shows. People are loving it. So if you have a show about paranormal, UFOs, contact, aliens, ancient history, any of these forbidden topics, if you make a TV show about it, it gets incredibly high ratings. So now there's been a shift to these shows because people, they want to see this stuff. And, you got to thank the X-Files, because, I grew up watching the X-Files and I thought it was the greatest show ever. But after the series stopped, I forgot about it. I didn't even think about the X-Files until all these things started to happen. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds like an X-Files. So it's like these TV shows really help kind of move us into an awareness that there is something else. But then again, is what they're telling us in the TV, what they're telling us in movies, is that the truth, or is that what they want us to believe about that subject? So there's so many blurred lines. But I really think the internet has been the biggest advocate for consciousness, because you could basically go down the rabbit hole very easy, just by clicking link after link after link. So some people get very obsessed. Now I'm open and aware. I need all this information. I know I need everything. So that's where we're at right now. And there's a lot of kids out there. I don't know how old you are, but when these stories came out about UFO,
I'm proud to tell you that I'm going to be 75 in July.
Well, it's great. So then you would know this, that it's like when these reports would come out, you would want these reports to be genuine and reported on and researched, so that by the time it came to you, you're getting good information. Now it's the complete opposite. Now it's like anybody could say whatever they want, put it out, and it's going to be copied and pasted on 1,000 different sites. And because it's posted on 1,000 sites, now people believe that information is true without any backup or anything whatsoever.
Mm-hmm, yep.
So we have a real problem now where the kids growing up, like, okay, I'm talking about people in high school and coming into college. When they start to get into this subject, they already know that UFOs are real. They already know that aliens exist, For them, nobody needs to prove it to them. They don't need to see a document from the Pentagon saying, okay, now I believe it. They just automatically believe. So if you tell them a fake story, they don't really look into any research. They just outwardly believe the story because they already believe that these things exist. And I think that's a very big problem going on now.
I think there's people and certain organizations, I'm sure you know this better than I, that are out there, and their agenda is to trip us up, to put false information out there, and then later on trip us up by saying, well, that's just a story that they invented themselves to mess up the people who are really the researchers digging into finding out what's really going on and what really matters. And that's out there. It's been out there for probably since the 40s at least. And it's still, from my way of thinking, it's never been more in play than right now.
Absolutely. And it's done very purposefully. And it happens all the time. It's not like something comes out, like a disclosure event happens, and then they say, oh, it's just a balloon. That happens like every single year. It's not, we're getting disclosure this year. They've been putting out information and then putting something out counter it to discredit it. So people are confused. In fact, I'm sure your group is familiar with To the Stars Academy.
Yes.
And you've probably talked about it many times, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll just put in my 2 cents. I won't really go over too much. But, when, To the Stars came out and they had all these so-called experts that are all, government-issued experts coming forward and saying, this is real, check out this video. Well, it turns out that the picture that they were showing people about this UFO, that picture was actually a balloon.
Oh boy, here we go.
Did you know that? But that's true, that it was an actual balloon. Yeah, it was so it's like they're telling us that this is real, check it out, but they're showing a picture that's a false picture. And then everybody's saying, oh, that's a mistake. I don't think that was a mistake at all. I think that was very purposely done so that they're literally telling you with one side that, yes, it's real, this is disclosure, but out of the other side, they're showing you a false picture so that if someone wants to pick this through, they say, okay, this is fake because they're showing us a picture of a balloon, not a UFO. So can we trust these people? It's really playing with people's minds, and it comes back to this thing called balanced reporting. I'm not entirely sure if I spoke with you before about this, but do you remember the old Larry King episodes where they would have generals and colonels on basically saying that, oh yes, UFOs are 100% real, and here's a video of one of them sending a beam of light and taking out one of our missiles. Do you remember that from Larry King?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And then sitting next to the general is the guy from Skeptics Magazine. And he just has a weird about this story. He says, oh, it's just swamp gas. That's not true. So it's just some guy who's an editor to some magazine sitting next to a 4-star general, but they're putting these two individuals together. And to get the information out to the public. So this is the thing about disclosure. Disclosure happens all the time. There's always disclosure. The issue is this balanced reporting, where they purposely put an individual to counter whatever the truth is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done very deliberately so that, for example, let's say my grandmother, who loves Larry King, is watching the show, and let's say she's very fearful about UFOs. So she'll look at this interview, and she'll get very upset and scared when a general is saying this is real. And then when the skeptic comes in and says it's fake, she's like, oh, thank God. See, I knew this was bullshit. you know. So it's this psychological, it just psychologically confuses people into non-action. And this is the whole word, it's non-action. So, you know, people could come up and tell them, okay, we have a video of an alien coming out of a craft, and they'll play it for the people to see. So that's like a true disclosure. This exists. And then right after it, you'll go to a Hollywood animation studio where they show you how this type of footage can be produced. Then you're saying, okay, well, do I believe it's real or do I believe it's produced? And so this is kind of like this psychological warfare that's going on, because there is definitely disclosure going on always, except there is no action towards it.
Well, absolutely correct. And there's professionals that are trained. They're like soldiers trained for misinformation, of how to dupe you, how to make your mind think one thing, and then they'll zap you with something contradictory, and then you're putting it together and saying, well, no, that can't be true. Then it just makes it harder to find out, to sift through what's real and what isn't. And sometimes when they're doing stories and they're doing animations of what they're saying, it's very hard then to dismiss that, because you're looking at animations and thinking that it's real, and that's not true. It's not real, and then when you see that it's false, well, then the story must be false. You see, they're double whamming you both ways, so that an honest person trying to sift through this information, it makes it harder for you to do that. And I see that going on all the time on the internet, and even on programs like Ancient Aliens. I want to ask you about that program just for a second.
Sure.
What are your feelings on that program, Ancient Aliens? Are they? How do you think about that? Do you think that they're doing good reporting? Do you think that there's other things going on there? Do you have any feelings on that program?
Honestly, I got rid of my TV for about 3 years. I haven't really watched anything, which I think is good. Everybody should get rid of their TV, number one. Okay. But I don't know. I don't know. I know that there's certain people involved that are brought into the show to tell their stories, and many of those people I may not agree with, but then there's very genuine people that come in to tell their stories as well. So, you know, I think with everything, even at conferences, you're going to get a mixed bag of good stuff and bad stuff, and then you just really have to kind of sort through it by yourself. And, you know, there's no police out there, right? There's no truth police out there saying, no, you're wrong, get off the stage.
That's true. And sometimes putting some things that are true alongside or right with things that aren't, so that it's confusing for the average person to sift through that information. Also, I want to just ask you briefly this, and then we'll get to your topic.
Yes.
Some have said on the internet and other places that if real disclosure comes, it's going to be a massive assault on your spiritual beliefs, that the world religions are going to be spinning around trying to deal with this new information, this news. Do you have any feelings about that, as far as what you think would happen if say that some major event happens where it's undeniable that there is a craft and beings, and that they have made themselves known quite publicly? What would happen to the spiritual groups? Do you think that they would be assaulted, or do you think that eventually they would assimilate this information?
I think at some level they'll just say that, you know, whoever these beings are, you know, there's still only one God, and, you know, I guess it's all under that. But, you know, I get assaulted right now just telling my stories, where I'll get emails from people saying that, you know, demons are messing with me, and, you know, call out a name and I'll be saved, basically. Yeah. You know, so, or if you say, like, what is an alien, say it's a demon. So there's already this there's all this fanatical information out there already, so that if something does come out, then they'll just say, these are demons and we're in the end times. There's a lot of people that believe that.
Yep.
So this is like, I kind of see how this kind of disclosure is coming out, and they're putting more on TV and they're putting more on the internet, and higher government officials are coming forward. But it's also plausible deniability. I don't know if you speak with Grant Cameron, but he's filed freedom of information for all the stuff that was supposedly released from the Pentagon or Department of Defense of these UFO videos, and his answer was they never gave out any videos or information on that subject. So you're getting like an official statement from the DoD and the Pentagon saying that they had nothing to do with anything that Tom DeLonge and To the Stars is doing or releasing, and that that's not even connected to them. Where, on the other hand, Tom DeLonge and the team is saying they're working directly with it, and this is where it's coming from. So, again, you're getting this completely confusing information that it's plausible deniability. Like, they can put it out, but, they could also say that they didn't put it out. Yeah. And also, to go back, are you familiar with John D'Souza, former special agent from the FBI? Basically, he was working with the FBI. He knew something called global shops. And have you ever heard of what a global shop is?
No, please, tell me.
Okay, so what a global shop is, they have the best CGI animators, Hollywood producers in the world, and they're set up all over the world. And this is part of the Black Projects. And when, let's say, a genuine video comes out on YouTube, let's say you're in your backyard and an alien peeks its head through the bushes and looks at you. You get that on film. You run downstairs immediately, you upload it to your YouTube channel and go, backyard alien, oh my God. And that video is a real video, and it starts to go viral. Now, it takes a couple days for people to get a viral video. So what happens is the global shops will see the video, and what they'll do is they'll recreate the video almost identically. They'll even hire actors that will look like exactly what's going on in the scene, and they'll recreate that entire scene, but purposely put things in the video that will show that it's fake. So what they do is they don't take the original down, but what they do is they flood the internet with the fake videos, and those are the ones that get hits, and those are the ones that are deemed fake. So the real guy is now silenced, and you don't know which is the real video and which isn't.
There you go. Yep. Yep. It's all part of that.
So this.
That really, it's an agenda that's certainly heavily funded and alive and well, never more than right now.
And the question is why? Why bother? Why is this so? Why is this such incredible information being held from us? Why put in all this effort to keep this from us? And I think that is the question that we're all trying to figure out. Because
one answer to that, and this may certainly not the only answer, but one part of that answer is that we've been lied to aggressively for how many years? 70 at least. And because once that door opens, the truth door opens, they're going to have to admit all that has been fed to us that was total lies, manipulation of the truth, and they're going to have to fess up to the fact. Now, they could say at the time of Roswell and even before, we thought that the global community or the United States of America, the community, the citizens, weren't ready for the real news, so we decided to protect them. we couldn't share with them the real deal. So we had to go to all this false information and stopping all the real news from ever going to them, to the public. And that's one answer. I've heard some people say that is one of the answers, is that they could cop the plea that they were in a protective mode, at least in the beginning, that they were operating on that level. But then, of course, it goes way, way beyond that to people being killed rather than have them disclose what they know. Prominent people in the government, at the Pentagon, being stopped cold, families being killed, including their pets, for God's sake. I mean, there's many stories like this that have been checked out and are true, to stop the truth. And that's just one version of that. There's probably many more.
Yes, and the thing that is really shocking about all of this is that, and this is, I was extremely naive getting into this community. I was just kind of dropped into it, and now I have to figure it all out. But what I've learned is that these high-level people, you can call them generals or people in black ops or, the elites, whoever you want to call them, if they're holding real information, they would never make it to a stage at a conference to tell their story. It would never happen. Something would get to them before that would even occur. And there's many people that they just kind of hint that they have something to say. Next day they've had a heart attack. So the real people that are really involved with these things, you're not going to see them at these conferences. You're not going to hear them talking on the radio. And if they are, then it's being allowed for a purpose or an agenda. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the hardest thing I've had to learn doing this, is that, a lot of the information we're being fed may not be the information. It may be the information that we're supposed to be fed at this time.
In my mind also, I just wanted to put on the table the whole idea that new forms of energy that we are now not only aware of, but have through retrieval situations and alike, have it, and that it would throw all of the coal industry, the oil industry, the gasoline, all of that right out the window as primitive, when we could have had this information and not destroy our planet by getting all this kind of old-fashioned fuel, when there's cleaner, much better fuels that we could have had 40 and 50 years ago if they had revealed it then. But that would be stepping on the stones of multi-trillion-dollar companies that will have nothing to do with the truth. So they have eliminated by many, many vicious means inventors or people who knew what was going on, because the last thing they want is for us to know the alternative fuels, so that we don't have to ruin the planet. There's other things available, but it's not going to put money in their pockets. Do you have any comments on that?
Well, my personal belief is that Nikola Tesla had all this technology. So this is old. This is more than 100 years old. We're talking about, to the Stars Academy, they're saying they want this electrogalvanic or electromagnetic spaceship. They want to build it. I'm pretty sure that Tesla built that or had that technology over 100 years ago.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right on the money on that. Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the biggest secrets out there, is that many of these ships that we used to see, the common flying saucer and metallic ships, that was based off of Nikola Tesla's invention, and it's been operating. well before. So this has been going on for a long time. So let's say one of Tesla's UFO machines that are, part of some program, those crash. It's a great cover story to say, oh, that's an alien. It's not our technology, it's somebody else's. It just shifts the blame to something else. So, and you hear stories all the time about inventors where, I'll tell you two stories that I was made aware of. One, this person found a way to generate free energy. And, many people do. It's actually probably easier than we think. And he put the patent in, and almost a week later, he gets a knock on the door from military, and they said that this is a military patent, and we own it, and if you produce it, we will destroy your life, basically.
Yep.
So that's one thing. Then the next thing, which is it's a really funny and not funny story at the same time, is that there was a guy, I think it was in the UK, who created this free energy device. It was the size of a microwave, basically, and it was powering his whole house for free. So the electric company sued him because they accused him of stealing electricity from them. So he went to court to fight it, and when he was in court, somebody burnt down his house.
What a surprise, huh? What a surprise. Wow.
So you hear these stories all the time, and even a story just came out, I think it was from the Congo, or somewhere in Africa. This inventor invented a car that doesn't even run, it doesn't run on water or gas or anything. It runs on radio waves, and radio waves charge the batteries, so that it's basically a free energy car that you never have to plug into a wall to charge.
Sign me up. Wow.
So these things are every couple months, one of these stories come out, yet we don't have it. So there's a lot of, so I agree with you that there's some type of hold on us where it's saying we don't want the human race to step to this level for some reason. And it's almost like we're in this Truman Show where we're kept in the 1940s or 1950s, and that's our life forever. We're not going to go and take that next leap until something happens to change that.
Jason, I got to say, and I'm sure that you go through this too, and I know the people in the room go through this in a very real way. When you're really looking hard at what really is going on and you're finding answers, and you have to rethink everything. You really do. You have to rethink all the things that you thought you knew because they told you, they taught you these things as being real, and you have to step back, probably do a little meditation, and kind of clear the decks and rethink, research and rethink what has really been going on all these different levels. And it's really quite a journey. You need a lot of courage to do this. It's not something you can just somehow change and just somehow do it. It takes time and it takes research, but you're on a very different level. You look at everything a different way. Everything from the governments to who's in power, to who's pulling the strings, to who is really pulling the strings of the people pulling the strings. It goes on. Economically, what we've been through and why we have been through that and what the realities are, why the wars were really fought and who was behind that, and follow the money to see where that goes. This is all, once you start doing that, you're on a very, very different level. It's truth-seeking with the mother lode of the realities. And we've had incredible meetings here with our group, Disclosure Network New York, on these subjects, and we share this information, and it's been so mind expanding. It's one of the most exciting things you can, I know you know too, that you're really tuning in on, you really want to know. Give me the truth. I don't have time for the BS. I really don't. I need the truth, and I want it now. And to share this, and I know you've been doing that all your life with your books and your lectures, and I applaud you. We applaud you for that. And we need the truth, and we need to identify the lies. We really need to put them out there and say this is a lie, and they should be ashamed of themselves for doing this to us, to taking our reality and making it their phony reality, making us believe it because it's good for them and not for humanity.
Yes, and I would say the main conspiracy against the human race is there's nothing else outside of you. You're here, you're an animal, you live, you die, you consume, and that's life. There's, religions talk about afterlife, or, do good or be submissive or you're going to go to hell. But these are all very much ways of controlling people's minds. And, I think we've been through thousands of years of mind programming and trauma with all these wars and atrocities throughout our history. I don't think we've had a moment of peace in, I can't even say how many thousands of years. There's always something going on. And it's very damaging for a being, and I won't even call this human, we'll just say a being brought into a world. And then you tell that being that they're basically nothing, or stupid, or, you can't understand this, or these are fake. Once you start driving these belief systems into a child or a being that's growing up into this magical world, the world is absolutely a magical place. It creates this false reality within us, and we do it to our children's children. We just carry that false reality through, and if we ever question that reality, we're basically, if we were living in the 1700s, we'd probably be burned at the stake just from even opening our mouth on these subjects. Look at the Inquisition. How many people died in the name of God, or throughout any war? How many people died because of that? It's just, for example, I know I'm jumping a little bit. For example, when the Romans would conquer the world, when the Romans were conquering all these different places, they would conquer the religion and the beliefs first. So let's say they went up to the Druids, and they basically said to the Druids, join us, or everything that you have will disappear. And they didn't join them, and then they erased their history. They erased their religion. They erased everything. They got rid of them. Because that's the most dangerous thing to any conquering army or conquering government or whatever. It's the beliefs and ideals of the people. So in North America here, we never talk about the native Canadians and Americans. We never talk about the natives here. And when people started to come to North America, there were millions and millions of natives here. And because they had a different belief and ideology than what supposedly was the right one, we erased them. And that is the way to control the population, is to control the minds of the people. And I think nothing has changed. Nothing has changed at all. Wow. We're still stuck in this cycle. So if somebody comes out with new ideology or new belief that's going to rock the foundation of the belief system of the capitalist world that we live in today, that person is either going to be made fun of, they may try to dig up dirt on the person to discredit them. There's all these tactics to try to destroy somebody's personality and credibility. And they'll use those tactics until the person basically rolls over and gives up, or no one will believe them. But if they push too hard, then they'll just say, okay, we're just going to take this person out. He's causing, or she is causing too much problems. We're just going to send a beam weapon technology and she'll have a heart attack. So I believe that that's kind of the state that we are in currently. And that's why, it is a little dangerous talking about these subjects. And that's why I don't really get into the conspiracy stuff too much. I kind of really stay out of politics or, anything that really has to do with the deep state or military stuff. Because for me, that stuff is also a trap for your consciousness. It's also a rabbit hole that you can't escape, because there's so many things you could find there that instead of focusing your life on that, I'm trying to shift that and try to figure out who I am and what is it really to be a conscious being on this planet, and how do we grow and evolve personally. And once you cut out that noise, things really yourself.
Well, I think it starts with the individual. I think that education, I think sharing information. There's a lot of good people in all governments. There's a lot of good people out there that are trying to deliver the truth because they know it is the truth and they feel as though we deserve to hear it. And I know that exists, and that's hope. Hope that people that are out there, I know they're out there, and there's a lot of them that don't want to be part of a system that is destroying the planet, destroying the individual on so many levels, also health-wise, certainly multi-trillion-dollar funded chemtrails, the big pharma. There's some research now that's showing what's really going on, and it's shocking beyond belief of what's there. But there are people that are trying to get the truth out and to change the system. God bless each one of them, and we're supporting that. We do that. We try to support that. Next year we're going to have here at the in New York, we're going to have a list of people that we feel that deserve our applause for what they're doing. They need to be recognized. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But we want to do that to say that there's some real heroes here, and they deserve recognition. For the rest of this is going so fast, Jason, and of course I knew it would with you, my friend. This hour just streams by. I mean, I'm looking at a clock; it's already 3/4 of an hour. But for the rest of your talk and interview, we could go anywhere you want. So please, anything you want to share with us, now's the time.
Yeah, no, I just want to say that there is so many people that are opening up to this, and so many people that have information, that have experiences, that have been coming forward with it, that I really don't think that this movement could stop. I really think that it's going to reach a mainstream narrative that the world is not what we believe it to be. I don't know how many years that's going to take, but, when I first started this, I started to go to energy medicine school, and you learn Reiki is like the first thing you learn. And you would talk to someone and say, and it's from another planet, and that was about 50 years ago. Now, you go to a random person on the street and say, "Do you know Reiki?" And they'll say, "Yeah, my cousin does that stuff." So it's like things have changed very, very quickly. People are a lot more conscious now, and I think that is just going to speed up. Especially now when, if you're watching politics on TV, it's very hard to see that it's not fake. It's almost a joke to watch a lot of these newscasters reporting stories because that it's just a narrative, something that was placed for us. So people are really starting to see through the cracks. And once people see through the cracks, it's going to just explode out. So we really need, people like yourself and the people coming to these groups that listen and enjoy these conversations. And, I feel not much was said today, but, there's enough to get people excited to talk about their friends or talk to their friends about these subjects. And, hopefully it doesn't scare people and it moves them in a more positive direction in life. Because, for me, when I first started to go down this rabbit hole, I was extremely depressed and angry for years. It really bummed me out learning about all this stuff. And, some people get stuck in that place for a very long time. And it's my goal, and this is why I talk to people about these subjects, it's my goal to kind of take that fear and anger and depression out of this information, to try to move them past it so that they could start getting to know more about themselves, more about the world that they actually live in.
There's a lot of hope. There's information coming out, and there's more people that are stepping up to the plate now than ever before, including in various high-level positions. And boy, do we need that more than ever.
Oh yes, we really need to take this whole, I would say, multidimensionality topic and give it more into the scientific community, because there are worlds that we are connected to. Each one of us is connected to these worlds that we can't see, and we were never taught about these things. And once we start awakening to this multidimensional nature of our reality, our world changes completely. And there are beings over there that interact with us, especially in the dream state or outer body state. There's also physical beings that we would consider alien, but they may have been living here longer than us. They're just underground or in some other dimensional space, but they can come in and out of our dimension with ease. So we're living in a world that we really don't fully understand yet, and hopefully soon we will if the scientific community really starts to look into this. And I think Nikola Tesla said that, and I may not quote this correctly, but he basically said that once we start researching non-physical phenomena, we will move light years ahead of anything very quickly. So, and I think, and that's the thing. It's like we had Nikola Tesla, and he gave us all this incredible information and technology. And I think we still haven't even grasped what he brought to us. And this is over 100 years old already.
Right now, as a matter of fact, it just aired the first episode on ancient aliens. It's going to be a 10-part series on Tesla. And I saw the first one the other night, and they're doing a really good job and uncovering
great
information. So, that's something to look at. I think they're doing a lot of research and coming up with a lot of facts about Tesla that weren't known before. So that's a great series coming up. I want to also, if you will, tell the people that are listening about your website and anything else you want to share with them. If you're going to be speaking in the next months at any particular conferences, anything like that, please go right ahead.
Sure. You can visit me on my website, which is thecrystalsun.com. You could also find that same title, The Crystal Sun, on Facebook. And you could follow me on Twitter at Jason_Quitt. And I just joined up to a new network called On Stellar, and that's a very powerful, growing community of people that are just interested in all the strange stuff that we talk about.
Well,
oh, and I'll be at Contact in the Desert coming up at June 1st to 4th, I believe. And I'm also going to be at ESETI at the Soul Tech Conference in August, I think it's 9th to 13th.
Excellent. That's all very good news. But Jason, again, it's just such a privilege to talk to you, and thank you for your time on this. And I think everybody in the room wants to give you a thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your time and all that you're doing, and stay close to us, and we will review, and perhaps maybe in later fall we can touch base again.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Much love to you, Jason, and yours. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're good. It's off.